Hello everyone, this is Bushra Sayyed, Assistant Professor at Siyosha Institute of Science, Ahmedabad. Today we are going to study about the different types of symmetry that are present in living organisms. So first of all, what is symmetry with respect to animal? So symmetry means the arrangement of body parts in an animal with reference to central axis. It means that how the body parts, the body organs are arranged in the body of an organism. That is a symmetry with reference to central axis. It means that when you look at any organism, the central axis of the organism indicates the symmetry of the body. See here, for example, yeah. So here, for example, assume this as an animal. Okay, there are many spherical animals also. So assume this as an animal. This and this are the central axis. The axis that passes to the center of any shape is known as a central axis. So when you divide or when you imagine a line passing through the central axis of any organism, we call it as symmetry. Okay, so whatever arrangement by passing the central axis through the organism, whatever symmetry, whatever arrangement you observed of the body parts is known as the symmetry of that particular organism. So biological symmetry can be thought as a balanced distribution of duplicate body parts or shapes within the body of an organism. So it is not always necessary that whichever parts that you divide possess equal number of organ. It can possess or it cannot possess, but roughly it will possess the duplication of the other part while dividing the body through the central axis. See, this is the central axis. Here you can easily see that which is the central axis. Here is a central axis, here is your central axis. So by passing through the central axis, whichever body parts that you observe, that is known as the symmetry. Before moving further, you should know some of the terms related to symmetry. So you might be knowing about various position in an organism's body. So here we will begin from the first one, that is the dorsal one. The upper side of the body is the dorsal one. The lower side of the body is the ventral one. The the uh, the place of the body where the spinal cord is located is always dorsal, whereas the other side where all the digestive and visceral organs are located is the ventral side. The lateral sides are the sides of the two left and right sides of an organism are the lateral side. Anterior is the one which is ahead, posterior is the one which is below. Now these three are the different types of cuts. This one is a transverse cut. If you cut an animal in this manner, it will be a transverse cut. If you cut an animal longitudinally, right, that is a sagittal cut. And the frontal cut. If you cut an organism from the front side, from the front portion, that is a frontal cut. So these are the different terms you should relate. We will be relating with the symmetry. So there are total 5 different types of symmetry that we will study. The first one is the asymmetrical symmetry. The name only says that the organisms will not be having any kind of symmetry, are the asymmetrical one. Okay, so these organisms do not have a body axis. It means that we will not be able to pass the central line from the central axis. There won't be any pole, there won't be any particular center of an organism. So that is why there won't be any plane of symmetry. Such animals are known as asymmetrical animals. They have irregular growth patterns of the body. It means that their body grows irregularly. It does not grow in one particular direction. Like if we take an example of human only, we grow from anterior, posterior and lateral sides. But these organisms do not have any particular polarity in growth. They will not be divided into equal parts from wherever, from if you divide them from the central axis, you won't be able to get equal halves. That is why we call that they do not have any body axis. Example are the amoeboid forms, that is amoeba. We know that it has irregular shape, that is why it does not have any symmetry, and many sponges. Okay, so here in the diagram you can see amoeba. This is the central imaginary axis line. These are the two unequal parts. You can see that the body is divided unequally as it lacks the body axis and the plane of symmetry. Other example is of sponges. Various sponges that are present, they belong to phylum Porifera, right? So all these sponges, marine or freshwater ones, have asymmetrical symmetry. So the second type of symmetry is spherical symmetry. The name only says that the organism in this symmetry will be spherical, and this body organization will also be having somewhat spherical or round appearance. Okay, so their body is spherical and they do not have any axis. The body can be divided into two identical halves in any plane that runs through the organism's center. This is the center of this particular organism. Any plane or any line passing through the center of this organism will be giving you equal part, just like the structure of a pizza. Okay, you all are eating pizza. So just like that, the spherical symmetry is same. If you pass any line from the central axis, you will be getting equal part. There is no polarity, just like the asymmetrical organism, they also lack polarity. Symmetry of a ball, you can imagine a ball, and if you cut them in from the central axis in different parts, you will get it as the symmetry of a ball in a 3D structure. If you if you take the section, the transverse section of that particular organism, you will be able to see it like the symmetry will be like a pizza. But if you imagine a complete ball, then it will be a 3D structure of the organism, and you will be able to see the spherical symmetry when you pass any plane through the central axis. Example is radiolarian protozoa. This is the example of the spherical symmetry. See here, if you see, there are different, this is the central axis, these are the different planes. Okay, so how many plane that you have imagined? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, these are also the different planes giving you equal parts, and this is your central axis from which the plane of symmetry passes. Examples, other example other than radiolaria are volvox, actinophytes and thalassiola. Volvox, this is how volvox looks like in a microscope, and here if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the central axis, and this is the plane of symmetry. So you can see 4 equal parts, and this is how the spherical symmetry in an organism looks like. Coming to the third one, that is the radial symmetry. Example is of Hydra. You all know this organism. It is Hydra. Now what it is? It can be divided, the body can be divided into two roughly equal halves by any one of the vertical plane. Okay, this is vertical, this is horizontal. So if you divide it from any vertical plane, you will be able to get same structures in the radial symmetry. Okay, the name only says that it is a radial symmetry. So if you pass any plane through the central axis vertically, then you will get equal parts, body parts of the organism, just like a spoke of the wheel. Imagine a wheel, right? In that manner, you will be getting the uh, parts of the body organization. Mostly these organisms are cylindrical in forms, and similar parts of the body are arranged equally around the axis. So if you make a cut from the central axis, you will get similar or roughly equal parts. Such organisms are grouped under radiata. One more example of radial symmetry is a starfish. All the star-like looking organisms such as feather star, sea star, brittle star, starfish, they all consist of radial symmetry. We know that starfish belongs to phylum Echinodermata. So the sea stars, all the sea stars are having radial symmetry. Now the axis, this is the central axis. The axis extends from the center of the mouth. This is the mouth of the center to the center of the aboral side. Now this is a new term for you. Aboral, we will see what it is. First, you should know that this type of symmetry is found in both among the sessile and sedentary animals. That means those animals who are stationary and who do not perform locomotion, who do not tend to move from one place to another, okay, very frequently. They stay stationary, sedentary at one particular place, such as sponges, hydroids, anthozoan polyps, the cnidarians, medusae and the sea stars are echinoderms. Okay, now what is this aboral? The animals with radial symmetry, they do not have an anterior and posterior or dorsal and ventral surface. We have seen in the earlier slide anterior and posterior. Anterior is the portion that is ahead. If you imagine a human body, it means the mouth, and the posterior will be legs, right? So and they do not have such body organization. They do not have any dorsal or ventral surfaces, like where we have the spinal cord is the dorsal surface, and where we have the front of our body, all the visceral organs, is the ventral surface, right? So these organisms do not have any dorsal or ventral surface. So they have, what do they have? They have the oral and the aboral side. The side which is having the mouth, that will be the oral side, and the side which is below the mouth, that is, if you turn the starfish up, if you turn the starfish, you will get the aboral side. Like see from a diagram, see, this is the mouth of the starfish and this is the oral part where the mouth is located. Now if you turn the starfish upside down, you will get the back view of it, and the back view is known as aboral view. Okay, the name only says aboral, below the oral region. Oral region is the region where the mouth is present. So this is the sides in the radial organism. They do not have any posterior or anterior end. They do not have any dorsal or ventral side, but they do have oral and aboral sides. The fourth one is the bilateral symmetry. You can see the organism. This is a scorpio. This is the central axis passing through the organism, and it will divide the organism into two equal halves. We'll see how it is. The body parts are arranged in such a way that the animal is divisible into roughly mirror images. Okay, if you see yourself in a mirror, that is your mirror image. So if you cut the organism, if you imagine that you are passing an imaginary axis from the center of the organism, this is this sagittal plane. We call it as a sagittal plane. If you pass an imaginary sagittal plane through the central axis of the organism, you will get the two mirror images, the right one and the left one. But you will get equal parts. These are the two equal parts. You will get equal parts only if you are passing through the mid sagittal axis. This is the mid sagittal axis. Okay, the vertical line that is passing through the center of the body. So that will give you the bilateral symmetry. This plane passes through the central axis of the body, to which it will separate the two halves, which are referred to as the right one and the left one. Yeah. So the animals which have bilateral symmetry are known as bilateria. It includes the acoelomates, the pseudocoelomates, the eucoelomates. Somewhat new terms for you, or you might also have heard these terms in your 11th and 12th standards, right? So what is a coelom? You should know these words come from the coelom. Coelom is the body cavity, right? It is the body cavity between the body wall and the digestive system. The space between the body wall and the digestive system is the coelom. Okay, we usually in simple terms we call it as a body cavity where all the visceral organs are located. That is a coelom. In detail we will be studying in the next lecture. So all the acoelomates, pseudocoelomates, eucoelomates among invertebrates and both lower chordates and vertebrates. So you can see a large group of organisms are bilateria, means most of the organism of animal kingdom have bilateral symmetry. And we are talking about vertebrates also. So vertebrates includes humans also. So humans also possess bilateral symmetry. So the entire body of a bilateria gets divided into three planes: the frontal plane, the sagittal plane, and the transverse plane. Frontal, horizontal, sagittal, vertical, and transverse, that we have seen if you cut the organism from a transverse way. See here, if you see this in the diagram of the fish, this is the transverse plane. Okay, this is the ventral side, this is the dorsal, this is anterior, and this is posterior, and this is the sagittal plane, and this is the transverse plane. Okay, see in a human, if you see, this is the central axis or the sagittal mid sagittal plane will divide the body into two equal parts or roughly the mirror image. This diagram is repeated here to give you better understanding. So this is the sagittal plane, the mid sagittal plane divides body into two equal halves. This is a mice, right? And mice is a vertebrate, and it is also a bilateria. So we have seen that you can divide the organism through three different planes. This is the frontal plane, this is the sagittal plane, and this is the transverse plane. The last and the fifth one is the biradial symmetry. Biradial symmetry is a combination of radial and bilateral symmetry. The organs are arranged radially and the body can be divided into two by mid-longitudinal plane, that is mid-sagittal plane only. This is the mid-sagittal plane. You can divide the body into two equal halves through the mid-sagittal plane, but their organs are arranged in a radial manner. That is why we call it as biradial symmetry. Ctenophores belonging to phylum Cnidaria or Coelenterata exhibit biradial symmetry. So the last part is the advantages of symmetry. We know that the most common type of symmetry is the bilateral symmetry. So you should know that why bilateral symmetry. This is the term, that is bilateral symmetry is associated with syphilization. The meaning of syphilization is, in simple term, it is the formation of the head. We have our head, in which we have the CPU of our body, that is the brain, right? So the syphilization, syphil term is related to brain. So the formation of brain or the formation of head is syphilization, which is very particular in bilateral organisms. So that is why we are linking the bilateral symmetry with the term syphilization. Other advantages of this symmetry are the streamlining of the body, different development of different organs in different body regions, and more efficient unidirectional movement. Streamlining of the body. When you talk about the bilateral organism, the body is streamlined like a fish, okay, like humans, okay. Development of different organ in different body regions. It will facilitate, bilateral symmetry facilitates the arrangement of different organs in a different part of the body. Other symmetry also does the same, and more efficient unidirectional movement, so that the body can move in one particular direction. Like if you have thought to move in left direction, you will move in the left direction because your body organs will uh, be moving in that direction. Why? Because your head will be moving in that direction. That is why we have linked the bilateral symmetry with the syphilization and efficient unidirectional movement. Thank you. That's all for today. If you have any query, you can contact me.